Anyway, everybody, hello and welcome to one of our, what should have been a live in conversation at 10:30, at 11:15 this morning. And poor Debbie and I had a lovely chat 10 minutes before we were supposed to go live, and then the tech failed us. So I'm really grateful for all of you who were there going, we can't see you, and me apologising. So what we've done is we've hopped over to Zoom. We're recording our conversation as we have it live, and then we're going to upload it to you. So most of you know now, I'm Berni B. I'm the Alternative Celebrant, and I set up this group so that we could all talk about our exciting plans for alternative celebrations, be that weddings, vow renewals, naming ceremonies, graduation parties, whatever that may be, and share our ideas, be it that we are in the industry like myself and Debbie, or that you're individuals and you're planning your own alternative celebration or have had one and you want to share all the joys that you had doing that. So today I'm absolutely delighted. I've got Debbie Skyrme with me, and she is all the way over in sunny Andalucia while I'm sat here in actually quite sunny but very cold mid Wales in the UK. Thank you so much, Debbie, for persevering. I'm sorry about the tech. I'm not sure how it happened.
It was hilarious. It was like a seance, wasn't it? I can hear you, but I can't see you. Is there anybody there?
Is anybody there? Anyway, we are here and everyone will get the joy of meeting you later. So my first question is, you're obviously from the UK. What took you to Spain, and in particular Andalusia?
Well, it all happened about 11 years ago, and I think it's one of those right person, right place, right time opportunities, in that I met my now partner, and he was looking to move abroad, and I'd lived in Portugal briefly, albeit briefly before, and my parents were in good health. His parent at the time was in good health. My family were fine. I've got two very grown-up sons who are totally independent. So it was one of those things, either we risk it with each other, we don't know each other terribly well, but we'll risk it and we'll do it now, or we'll take time, we'll get to know each other, and then perhaps life will happen and we won't actually go anywhere. Yeah. So we seized the day and we did it. And
yeah, I love that.
The reason we moved to Andalusia is huge. Spain is big. It's 4 times the size of the UK.
Yeah,
and we've got like 20 million fewer people. So it's very sparsely populated apart from the city areas. And the coast is very expensive to live, and the cities, well, not expensive, but more expensive to live.
Yes.
And the cities more expensive. And between us, we didn't have very much money. So we had to go 2 hours inland to be able to afford somewhere. But that was the most amazing experience, Bernie, because that meant that we were living a rural lifestyle. So if you imagine where you are in Wales now.
I know, it sounds like a very similar thing, but with more sunshine.
Very similar. And my Spanish I didn't really know any Spanish, and everybody around me spoke broad Andalus. So it's a bit like Geordie, you know, it's a strong accent. The S doesn't exist, so we live in España, not España. But I had to learn Spanish, because if I wanted to speak to my neighbours, if I wanted to integrate into the community, I had to learn. So I actually kind of speak Andalus rather than Castellano.
So you're a good Spanish dialect, but by not moving to a touristy and known area, if you wanted to integrate, that you had no choice, which is really lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, I know how hard. I mean, I'm not a language person. When we moved to Wales, I thought about trying to learn Welsh, and my husband tried as well, and he did okay, but I could not pick it up at all. But fortunately for us, everybody seems to be happy enough that we speak in English, and it's a very English area, even though we're not in a touristy part. So very like you, we kind of met and seized the day and just moved here really fast. You know, well, we moved in together really fast, and then ended up moving here after coming for a weekend away. So we had no plans, just really fab, and I love that. I'm a real romantic. Sounds like you Well, you're a celebrant, and
when you know, don't you, Bernie?
Yes.
When you know, you know.
Yeah. I think so. So 11 years ago, no regrets other than missing your grandkids and all those things.
Yeah, no regrets at all. Absolutely none. We've burnt our bridges completely with the UK. So yeah, my parents are still there, my children, my grandchildren. So the important people are still in the UK. But my life is here. And I love the people, the climate, the food, absolutely everything. I'm really passionate about it. And 3 years ago, we were lucky enough to be able to afford to move to the coast. So I've been living in between Granada and Malaga. There's like a little border there. So I'm right on the border of these two great big provinces. And it's fantastic.
Nice. Oh, it sounds idyllic. I mean, I love where I am, but we have a lot of rain. But it doesn't bother me because of the greenness of it, and it's just our spirit. I think you find your spiritual home. You find your fit with a partner, but you find your fit with where you live if you're really lucky, and it just fits, doesn't it? It's like a glove. It just fits perfectly for your life.
I mean,
I'm so happy.
If I were here as a single person, I would be so comfortable. It really is. It is home. I've put down roots here. Love it.
Oh no, that's great. Really, really great. So you were saying to me when we spoke, not in the last hour while we've been trying to fix the tech, but when we spoke before, when you kindly agreed to come and chat with me, you said you were really keen to promote Andalusia as a destination. So I'm guessing that in Spain there are lots of places that people know would come to by default, but it is a lesser known destination for weddings. Were you a celebrant when you went there?
I was a registrar. I became a registrar in 2005. So in the UK I was a registrar. Over here in Spain I can't officiate legal marriages, so I separate the marriage from the wedding. So couples coming over here contract their legal marriage with their registrar, 40 words plus their names, job done, sign the register. And then they come out to me for their ceremony in the sunshine. Because we have
I love that definition, the difference between marriage and wedding, because marriage, and it makes sense because people often say, what's the point of coming to see a celebrant because you're not legally married? But the marriage and the wedding, if you think of them separately, like when you have a baby name, when you have to register the birth, so you go off, register the marriage, do that bit, pay the fee, whatever it is, sign the form, and then you have your celebration, and that's your wedding. And you can do it where you like. So you obviously have people from Spain coming to you as a destination to have a wedding, and possibly local people. What about when people come to you from the UK? What do they have to bring? Is there anything they need to prepare before they come to you, or can they just come and do it?
No, they don't need to prepare anything because they've done all the legals back in the UK. So it's completely stress-free by the time they come over here. It really is the ceremonial celebration, the fun part. But remember, because we're Andalusia, we have got Gibraltar. So Gibraltar is a British overseas territory, and it's tagged on to Spain. I used to think it was an island. It isn't. It's just it is literally a bit of rock sticking off to Spain. And you can contract your legal marriage in Gibraltar. And then
so you don't even have to do that before you come out. And you don't have to do it before anyway. You can do it after, can't you?
The marriage wedding, Gibraltar and southern Spain.
Sounds like a plan, I think. So do you specialize just in weddings, or do you do all sorts of ceremonies and things, or is it predominantly weddings and vow renewals for you?
It's actually mainly elopements that I do.
I
found a little niche there, and I think this year, well, I know this year we're going to be very, very busy with elopements because so many people in the UK have contracted their legal marriage without any kind of ceremony because of restrictions, because they've had to. And they've missed out, and they deserve a ceremony. So I'm getting quite a lot of inquiries. I had 3 yesterday, for example, about elopements. That's wonderful. So people are beginning to book their holidays, and they're coming to Spain, and they're contacting me so that they can have a ceremony while they're here on holiday. So it's a bit like a wedding moon.
Oh, I know. Oh, it's a wonderful thing. I mean, I love the whole idea of elopements and micro weddings, and particularly elopements, where it is really just about the couple and their declaration of love and commitment to each other, for each other, and with each other. It's just the most intimate and beautiful way to do something, and I really get it. It's my favourite thing.
So intense, yeah. And as a celebrant, it's a completely different skill set officiating an elopement to a wedding. With a wedding, you've got guests, even if it's a micro wedding, that you kind of feed off their energy, and it's almost like a call and response. You say something, they're going to react. But with an elopement, it's very different, and it's knowing when to be in the conversation and when to be out of the conversation. So with an elopement, you're not talking to an audience, you're talking to the couple. So you can't tell their love story because they already know their love story. So it's much more personal than that. And it's getting in contact with those little quirky things that they first fell in love with, and reconnecting with that little spark, and igniting that for the duration of the ceremony. And then when they say their vows, you really have got to melt back into the background, because that's almost like a freeze frame just for the two of them. So theatrically, from a celebrant point of view, it's very different officiating an elopement to officiating a bigger or more traditional style of wedding ceremony. I love it. I love it.
And I love hearing your description of it. I can see the passion and the joy that gives you to watch because I imagine the couple of them, by the time you've sort of set the scene for them, they are so like just melting into each other's eyes that they've kind of lost you anyway, so they just do their thing.
It's almost like, get a room, guys. You're the third person in the relationship for that.
I know.
Whatever it is.
Oh, I think it's really beautiful, and what a good idea to come away anywhere. I mean, yes, you there or me here, just to go somewhere really romantic and really private, and that speaks to you. So the beach, the countryside, a mountain top by a river, whatever it is, just the two of you and your celebrant, and do something really, really lovely. But you were telling me, and I got really excited when you were telling me, and I got a bit gooey and thought, I really want to do this myself for me and my partner. I loved the story you told me about the threshold blessing that you did for a couple. Talk people through that and how that came about and how it sort of balanced.
I was contacted by an estate agent. Now, she had become friends with a couple she was working for that were looking for a property over here in Spain. And this couple had been together 30 years. They had children together, but they had never married. And during this period of time, they'd had a very rocky patch. They'd gone their separate ways. And then more recently, they'd come together again as two new individuals, if you like, and two far stronger individuals, and together they made a better couple than they ever did before in their history. So they made the decision to get married. And then coming over here, what they wanted to do, they wanted to signify a whole new stage in their relationship by buying a property over here and having their wedding celebration, their elopement, because it was just the two of them, in front of their cortijo, their little Spanish farmhouse that they bought. And at the same time, they wanted to claim all the energy of the space for themselves, because this was a little cortijo with quite a lot of history. And then he wanted to carry her over the threshold. So it was a threshold blessing, but it was also an elopement as well. And it was one of those, I can feel the hairs going up on my arm.
Well, me too. I'm kind of going all gooey.
It was lovely. And this property, the estate agent said, well, I can't really give you a pin on the map because Google doesn't know where it is. So I followed her. We went up and up and up into the mountains. And in this part of Spain, the mountains reach the sea. And then you just look straight over to Africa. Africa's only 14 kilometers away. Yes. So if you can imagine this amazing place way up in the mountains with 180-degree views of the sea, and then in the distance you
Wow.
can see Africa, and you've got this beautiful rundown cortijo, and you've got the fences are falling down, and you've got weeds growing up through the patio, and you can just envisage that this is the beginning of a new life for the couple, for the property. It just all came together so beautifully.
Yeah.
And I wrote a ceremony that involved a salt ceremony. Because here it's quite humid, what I do is I get a grater and I grate chalk into the salt. And
it takes all the moisture
out. It sticking together.
Yeah.
And what I did was I got some children's coloured salt, so that I had, it was almost like a sand ceremony, you know, when you blend the different colours. So I had blended coloured salt as well. And I went round to the 4 points of the compass and talked about the energy and the meaning of the different 4 points of the compass. And their property faced south, and you could see the sunrise and you could see the sunset. And then he would carry her over the threshold to the north. And oh, Bernie, it just all worked. It was wonderful.
Oh my God! I want a movie of it. I want a movie. I want to sit there with some tissues and a big box of chocolates, and I want to watch that. That's just divine and perfect, and the real romantic story. But what a lovely way to do things. For those who don't know, tell us a bit more about the salt sand ceremony. And I know what it involves, but how did you get to the point of knowing what you wanted to do and how you were going to do that?
Okay, well, salt has so many different meanings. It features in the Bible, for example.
Yes.
You have pillars of salt, and you have salt covenants. But it goes back to ancient times, where if people were making a promise to each other, they would put salt into each other's pouches. People were paid in salt. Salt was incredibly important. And this couple really loved the idea of the salt of the sea and the salt of the earth, and all the different symbolism. So I talked about that. And what I did was I went round and I created a large circle, but pausing at the different points, the 4 different points of the compass, just to talk a little bit about the north being of the earth and infinite possibility within a time frame, and wisdom and survival. And then the air represented the east and the future and going into the light and illumination. The south, that would have been fire, being in the present, in the timeline, and sun and preparing for the future. And then the west would have been water, with our fantastic view of the Mediterranean, and talking of the past and nature and contemplation. So I pulled in Native American symbolism, Celtic symbolism.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I think what the message we're getting here is that you can take elements of all sorts of symbolism as a celebrant and create something very unique and personal to someone. So the 4 elements, mixed with the salt ceremony, mixed with the story of their life, making it all very personal, going around their house. It's just, it just sounds beautiful. And and of course we all know the whole throw salt over your shoulder because it's lucky and all of those things. So it's a very symbolic thing. I mean, because you do the same with teas, you can do the same with sands, can't you? And things. It's just really
salt as a preservative.
Of course.
Adding salt as flavour. So there's some fantastic symbolism you can bring in with salt. Perhaps more so salt than with sand.
Much more so. I think, that's really.
And what we're going to do with this couple, when they have renovated their cortijo and it's all just as they would like it, then we're going to have a vow renewal ceremony and invite friends, family, and then I'm going to go back and see all its
how lovely for them, but how wonderful for you to see their journey and to go back and visit and everything. Oh, it sounds really great. So I think that this conversation has, I mean, it's really sparked some ideas in my mind of things that I can offer and suggest to people. And I'm hoping that those people who were trying to listen in earlier had come back and have a listen, because there are some really fabulous, great ideas that they can incorporate into their own ceremonies.
I think that go and approach your estate agents, because a threshold blessing is a whole new market for a lot of officiants that haven't thought about this.
Yes, and there's a lot of officiants in this group, so yes, I'm sure they'll all be on. We'll all be going, ooh, we thought about that now. But
talking about buying houses, weren't we? And how you have on paper your list of things, the location, the number of bedrooms, but actually when you go into a place, it's how you feel, and you make a decision on how it feels to you. So a lot of emotion goes into buying a house, and it can be quite stressful. So to have
store energy in stories, don't they? They really store energy in stories. When we bought this house, first of all, we weren't intending to buy a house to move into anyway. We were looking at small cottages with a view to having somewhere we could retire to in the future and buying a holiday home. And we ended up, it was a horrible wet day, and we kind of came to look at this house because we needed to do something on a wet, windy day in Wales. And we pulled up to this house, and it was quite sad looking. It had been, it had not been decorated probably since the 70s. Everything was black from coal dust, because we still, until a couple of years ago, used coal. Nothing had been, no decoration had happened, and it was, walls were crumbling. But I walked in, in fact, we didn't even get as far as indoors. We just arrived on their driveway, and there was this kind of sense of joy and peace and happiness and homeliness as we walked in. So it wasn't what we were looking for at all, but we immediately changed all our ideas and thought pattern, because we just fell in love with the energy of the house. And I think the amount of people who go looking for one thing and come and see something else, you see that a lot on those programs on the TV where people say they give I know, Phil and Kirsty, people in England watch Phil and Kirsty, where they find a home, and they'll go off with their brief, and they'll find 3 houses exactly that match the brief, and one that's got nothing to do with the brief, but they just and they more often than not, they will pick the one that had nothing to do with their brief, and it's just because it just feels right. Just feels right. And so to bless it and to bring that together as part of a vow renewal, as a new chapter. I mean, my whole thing is about, I think all of life's chapters and milestones or crossroads in your journey are worth a celebration, taking a moment, reflecting, signing off, moving forward, and really sort of key points, so that that's chapter close, put them in number, next chapter, move into that, and to do that with a celebrant, be that a new home or a vow renewal. I think it's just a wonderful thing to do, and I'm hoping that this last 18 months, it's 12 months, where we've all been really restricted on what we can do. I'm hoping that has kind of going to make us want to be more celebratory of those moments in our life, and try and bring our families together, or bring our or just take a moment to reflect and enjoy and
isolate. I think we took celebrating for granted before, because we could, but now a life event happens, and we want the people that are important to us around us, and we want to share, and it's sharing an experience that I think we've missed. Yes, we can have Zoom, but it's not the same.
No, and sharing rather than splashing out. So we were talking elopements, micro weddings. A lot of people are realizing they don't need the big showy expensive thing. You can have that, and that's wonderful if that's what you really want, but to have just that core of people, and we all now realize who our core of people are, don't we, from having a year locked away, who we've chosen to kind of pick up a video chat with, and who we haven't, and who we have missed desperately and can't wait to have a hug with. Those are the people, they're our little core that we would want to bring into a sort of celebration of whatever it may be.
Yeah. I think we've learned a lot of life lessons through this whole experience, haven't we? And so it's up to us now to take those life lessons and move forward and make the most of it.
Yeah.
Something positive always comes with an experience.
Oh gosh, I've had so many positive moments in the last 12 months, you know, in terms of, I can't believe, considering I've been locked in the middle of Wales and not seen anybody in person, I have made the most amazing friends and contacts in the last 12 months because possibly because I've had time. I don't feel like I've had time, but certainly I've had to view things like everybody in a different way. So I've reached out in different directions from where I had reached out before. Otherwise, we would never have met if it hadn't been for lockdown, because I would have never found the time to go on a training program with Jennifer, who you know because she lives down the road from you, which is amazing. So and she is the woman behind the Celebrant directory and some other amazing things, and if I hadn't been on that, I wouldn't have met you, and then I wouldn't have thought to have a group and then have all these conversations. And it's just, I think that it has. And I appreciate, I don't want to belittle how hard it's been for some people, because I appreciate it has been horrendously hard. It has also, for lots of people, created lots of different opportunities and different thought processes.
Yeah.
And we should go off and celebrate those.
Comfort zones. And for a lot of people, that's been a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we don't go out of our comfort zones unless we, I mean, going out of your comfort zone is probably the only way you can probably grow as a person. You can be comfortable and happy and be where you are, but if you want to push your boundaries, you have to step out of that comfort zone. So being forced to just using the tech is out of my comfort zone, as you saw earlier. How does this work? I have no idea. So what do we do now? I don't know. Give me a minute. Fiddle, fiddle, fiddle. But all of those things where I would in the past, I would have avoided doing any of those things because they're just not my thing and I don't get it, so I'll just ignore it. I've had to embrace them, otherwise I would have not spoken to anybody in the last year. So I've got all these new skills.
Feel the fear and do it anyway, Berni.
Yeah, that's right. It's right. Acknowledge it, do it. And then it's not frightening anymore. So your circle of knowledge and your comfort, your circle of comfort is so much bigger. You've got so much more in your grasp than you had before. Every time you do something, and quite often the thought of doing it, I know we've changed our age, the thought of doing it is far more frightening than the reality of doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, that first step, take that, and then you're off and running.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're turning that back onto celebrations, if you are thinking of having a celebration and you are very traditional, or the people that you are connected with are very traditional, and you are thinking in your head, I'd love to do that, but I'm not sure how everyone will respond to it. I'm not sure how I go about it. This is a great place for putting the feelers out for your idea in this group, ideas, and finding people who think it's great and will tell you how to go with it. And I think what a lot of people have found is that if they tell their family or whoever they think is going to disapprove of the way they do it, they probably won't. They just want you as a couple to be happy. And if you want to do it in a small way and go to Andalucia and stand on a mountain top and stare out onto the sea, I'm feeling more like I want to do that every minute now I'm talking about it, and declare your love or your or for your partner, and renew your vows, then I am sure that the people who you love will be behind you 100% to do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah. Now more than ever.
Really.
Yeah.
Really.
I think people realise that contracting the legal marriage can be a very cold thing, actually. It purely is a legal contract, because that's what so many people have had to do. So the people that love you and the people that want the most and the best for you if you want to have a celebrant-led wedding ceremony, something that's different, something that's alternative, perhaps you want to be respectful and incorporate some of the more traditional marriage elements in, so it still looks and feels like a traditional ceremony, but you want to bring something extra in for you, then that's fantastic. And I'm sure everybody that loves you will only wish you the very, very best.
Yeah, they want you to be happy. People just want they just want the people they love to be happy, and that's what we're about, really, isn't it? I mean, I always say in these conversations, celebrants, generally we become celebrants because we're a bit romantic, but secondly we're quite nosy and we love to know the ins and outs of people's stories, but because we spend the time doing that, when you have a wedding with a celebrant, they are part of your inner circle, whereas if you have a traditional wedding, that they are just doing a job, and they'll read their script and insert name here, and that's the way it is. So
I was a registrar and I used to do 5 weddings a day back to back.
It was just perfunctory, wasn't it? It was just a job, it was just something you did. You didn't really get to know the couple or anything like that. And we spend a lot of time. We're very good value, I would say, because you don't, that in terms of what we charge for what you get from a celebrant, and quite often you get a friendship and a new direction as a result, and all sorts of things. So it's, if people want to, we're going to have to close because we've been chatting like forever, and we probably would, we'll still be chatting in the evening where we go and get our bottle of wine and having and rejoining each other after a siesta. But if people want to find you and find out more, where do they come to find you, Debbie?
Well, I'm known as Celebrant Spain. So you can go to celebrantspain.es for España, and you'll find me on my website, or go to any social media, look for Celebrant Spain, and you'll find me. So just think Celebrant Spain and you'll find me.
Fantastic. And you will find people, if you have an idea and you want to run it past any of us, we'll happily chat about it and let you know, how we can help you without any pressure.
I was going to say, Bernie, especially as this is a recording, that if people want to type some comments in below, then you and I are here and there are other celebrants around, so we can engage in a conversation outside of this recording, no problem.
Absolutely. So please do, please put your questions in the comments boxes on the link in the group, and we will definitely come back to you, or somebody else who knows the answer will, because the group is full of officiants and specialists and people with different skills, and also other individuals. So let's start the conversation. That's what the group's for. We're just to have a conversation. It's been really, really lovely to speak to you. I wish I wasn't as pale and pasty as you, with your beautiful tan, looking all glowy. But anyway, thank you so much. It's been a joy.
My pleasure.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Thanks, Bernie.